Okay, we'll call to order our PROST meeting for June 11th, 2025. Go around the table with a roll call. John Evans.
Laurelyn Backelman.
Jesse Broker, Sarah Brown.
And Billy Cooksey.
And we do have it on Zoom.
I do, yes, I have one participant, and that's just the town of Wellington, which is us. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay, so we'll have Aaron McConnell absent, Rebecca Kenny, and Robert Sossman absent today,
And Joe.
and Joe Park. Joe, I haven't saved his Park. Joe, what's his last name? Bird. Sorry. I'm sorry, I had everybody saved as Parks after their name. So I gotta remember where everybody's from. Okay, no public comment then?
Be online.
Nope.
Here.
Did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes, or do we want to table that for one meeting?
I didn't look at them.
I didn't really look at them.
Yeah.
We'll just table it then,
Okay,
till next meeting.
I looked at it, but
I just didn't have a chance.
no, I.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
so do we need a vote to table that?
Mm.
No, okay. Okay, then we'll move on. Board review and discussion action items. Post master plan.
All right, let me get through the minutes. So I sent this out in the packet. This is kind of the stuff that after that first initial phase of internal engagement and kickoff, we are now at the point where we're working through our full-on engagement strategy. And this portion of it has been approved as far as where we're at right now. Let me just say, the branding kind of took input from that kickoff meeting, as well as some other internal staff engagement and public outreach, and kind of what we came up with, or what was collaborated on, I should say, for kind of the idea of the project is have a say how you play. And then as it's branded, everything will have like the Wellington logo right underneath it. The idea that we kind of wanted to incorporate the idea of one, parks, open spaces, the play, the idea of recreating, and how Wellington wants to do it. And really it's up to the public, as we talk about all the time. So we want to engage people, have a say. Like you come out and tell us what is needed and what's lacking. And I mean, I could go into all the things, but that was kind of our fun slogan to get people engaged.
That's good.
Yep.
That's good.
So
like that.
it did say like have a say how you play Wellington, there were like a couple different iterations that came back. We felt like in any engagement, simple and straight to the point is kind of where we wanted to be. And we really, the word play to us meant more than just fun and activities. Is like how do you enjoy your life in Wellington? So that mixed with right now, our internal team had a look at multiple different statistically valid surveys that Barry Dunn had done, both locally and nationally. And we've gone through a bunch of different questions, and we're in the phase of, by Friday, getting them a finalized but first round draft of what we want the survey to look like. Now, before that is ever sent out, it will be sent to this group to review. Maybe something to hopefully, I mean, we need to probably get it out before the next meeting, but I would love to get that out as soon as we get that review back and get this group's opinions and input. For us, I think, and I'll involve you since you just got here. The biggest thing, going back to short and simple, was making it readable, usable, and easy. Like some of the ones you see are very overdrawn. There's a lot of questions that you fill in. It's just like, how do we get to the people where they're at when they're there? And if we can then make like shorter versions of it when we're at events, like how do we take that and pare it down? So we can't have this massive 40 question one that we send out and then put a QR if people want to do it online. It's just like how do we pair those together to get the right information, but make sure that people do it, right? That's the biggest thing. We want the right information. So there's that kind of balance. And we're in that phase, and I have to have it to them by tomorrow, so I can send you what I have. It's basically just a mixed mesh of other ones and then kind of adding in what we want to find. But there are some very good ones that mix both all Parks Rec open spaces, but also some of them have rec center feasibility, some of them have, you know, facilities upgrades, so like taking and mixing pieces of that. So we sat down yesterday with our internal team and hashed through that, and so it's got to be to them very done by Friday. So once I send out my edits on that, I can send that over to everybody. The biggest thing is though, when they kind of take that and make it, because I'm not going to go through everyone and be like, we want it to say, well, you know, like we'll just like everywhere it says this, say Wellington, not, you know, this verbiage for us is different. So just take that with a grain of salt. But then when they get it back, I'll send that out, and then everybody can take a look at that before we actually boom, publish it on the website / send it out in the mail. So, statistically valid survey, we're working on that. Stakeholder meetings, we have semi-tentatively, but we're trying to work on the week of the 13th of July. As many stakeholder meetings as we can. Those groups have been somewhat identified. We filled out a bunch of information, as you've seen in here, on who we want to target as coming in and helping us produce this. You know, obviously it's the American Legion, PSD, Chamber of Commerce, Main Streets, PROST, you know, anybody and everybody we think that needs to have some sort of a understanding of where we're moving, and we want input from them as we get through this process, all of the stakeholders that we have. We're trying to get them in meetings that week. Some of them will be virtual, some of them will be hopefully on site, specifically if we can get this group to do that meeting. If what I was thinking, if we do that stakeholder meeting with them and they want to come in, that might just be our agenda for our July meeting, because that is going to be super, super important. For them sitting down with the entire group and having the time that I don't want to do that one virtual. I want that to be this group. I know we probably have other things to talk about in July, but maybe we could table some of that. Just a thought. Because I feel like from the time that we get the survey out, have it closed and get it back, we're at, what'd they say, 30 to 60 days, depending on for getting the results. And so the sooner that we can get the most important people and the stakeholders in to help with this engagement process and get data from them and what's really needed, and then combine all that information from the statistically valid community survey, the better off we'll be. This is the heavy lift portion of it, right? The engagement portion of it. After that, it'll be still a lot of work, but that, not just that one, but that meeting will be very important. So just a thought for me.
Can I clarify? So our next meeting is on July 9th?
Yeah.
Is that what you meant, that meeting?
Yeah, so we're
Okay.
trying to get the community put
Yeah.
into that week, everybody else. If we could do ours at that meeting, that would be fantastic. Because we as a town are setting up a town hall, or potentially on the 15th, to engage in a few different things. Master planning for us, downtown, and transportation stuff, or excuse me, water. So there's a lot of work still to do there, but we are going to be a big portion of that, and it is going to be on the 15th. So
I'm gone that week of the 15th, so if we can do our prost on the
Okay.
set,
I'm
that would
gone
be
that
awesome.
and I would like to, and I don't expect anybody to be, I would hope as residents, you would come engage in that once that is made public. Well, we aren't official with that, but we're trying to get that out, but,
Be there
yeah,
doing the C3 stuff.
yep. So, but there might be other opportunities for you guys to just jump in on Zoom if you're able to, or try to book this room. That is gonna be a huge portion of that engagement. We'll try to pack it in for Barry Dunn that week, because they can it's easiest for anybody to just pick a week and we can mobilize their people and then just figure out where we can pinpoint in. We have to identify who and when. It's gonna be the hardest thing, you know, like getting, which we really would like PSD at the table, to talk about what it looks like for engagement with not just, you know, the parks master plan, but the community center feasibility study and where that partnership could potentially run. And like, nothing's obviously set in stone with the building or who we're partnering, but just like, where's your interest? How does this pique you? What would you do in this process so that they can have their best information?
I love that.
Yep. I'll do it until maybe we take a break.
Billy, one of the stakeholders, I was looking at over the list and want to get more of those bicycle groups.
Yeah,
And trying to identify who those groups are. I know they come into,
yep,
I'm not sure who they all are.
Noco Bike Ped is not on there, right?
Yeah,
Can you send me an email or it'll be in the meeting minute notes, but let me add that to them. So Barry Dunn is phenomenal. If we don't have like a direct contact, once we set these up,
Yeah.
they're gonna go and reach out to them and get them in the door and find out what's best for them, but also kind of give them some parameters on what we're able to do. But they're very flexible and able to do that for us. So anything you don't see, and that's why I put it out. So that's not set in stone.
okay.
If you guys see someone that you want to engage or think should be engaged, write it down, send an email. Reply to the
Easy to find.
email there. So
Those bike clubs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when Kiwanis had their thing one year over by Ziggy's,
Yeah,
I talked to a guy and he said NoCo Grassroots Bicycle Group or something.
yeah.
write them all down.
Like-
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're really big in the community, and then I got a guy to come to the farmer's market one year to do like bike tune-ups for kids.
Yeah.
And he was great, he was just a mobile guy, but he knew the whole community. So I might look for his card and see if I can't get a hold of him. I think it was B something or other. I got,
Trying to remember who that was too. I
Yeah.
talked with them.
they were great,
Yeah.
they had the whole setup.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, they were awesome.
look at that list. That's why we're here right now.
BMX guy.
Just dial it in. And if we can't get to everybody on that list, we can also target them with that survey to hand out to their people so that they have their input. Cause there will be like a section for comments and stuff like that, but not, again, we don't want it to be like every question. It's like 1 through 3. And also tell us exactly how you feel, it's just, you gotta have that data survey, the survey data, excuse me. Yes, please engage in that, add to it. That's why we're here.
Right.
Cool.
Further. Right about there, nice. So that's with the stakeholder meetings. Pop-up events, so Barry Dunn's gonna come to some of the larger ones. They're gonna be at the 4th of July. They were at Brewfest for their first swing of engagement, which was fantastic. They've got amazing things fun things to give away, great ways of engagement. We're looking at potentially taking our rec trailer and being able to use it as a dry erase whiteboard. Or if we could find some like temporary chalkboard to put up on it and take it either to engagements or just drop it off at spots around town and have people just kind of write down what they want. They've done that in the past. And they've had really good feedback. And then, it's easy for them. That's fantastic because they just take a picture of it and we can set that up in any way we want. Like, tell us your vision in 10 words, or draw us a picture or whatever it is, and people can get very creative and we can get engagement that way. It's great to have, if we get it to events though, because then we can talk with the people while they're there and say, here's a quick QR to our short survey or, whatever that is. And then we're gonna do internal stuff just at evening sports programming, softball games, soccer games, just handing out the cards and engaging people here and there. So we've got, I think on the list, it's somewhere in here. I'll be honest, sometimes when, this is a fun one too, if you go back up. This was just a possible one that would turn, it started as a joke to something that we potentially, two of the guys are gonna do is they're going to, you know, dress up as the Blues Brothers and just either at an event or just one Saturday, just kind of drive around with a very, not loud, but just like a little megaphone and be like, hey, who wants to engage, you know, potentially put the QR on the side of the car and just like get people excited about it. We don't know how that'll fly and what day we would do it, but they're excited about doing that. I'm like, I'll drive you guys around. Like, that sounds like a hilarious time. And, you know, meet people where they're at, you know.
Have you thought about doing, is PROST doing or Parks and Rec doing a float for the 4th of July parade?
We haven't got into that yet.
Because that could be the work in for that, where everybody sees it and then they start to notice what that is
Yep.
after 4th of July, because that's when the most people are downtown from our community. And then when they see it out and about, they're gonna know, oh, hey, that's the Blues Mobile.
Yep.
I would love to say we'll have staff to drive that, but they will all be preoccupied.
Well, could any of us from PROST handle that portion of it?
Just don't know. It'd have to be, it couldn't be a town vehicle at that point. He's
Right.
in the hard part.
Make my husband drive his car. You've been voluntold, honey.
That'll be.
You should see if any of the Larimer sheriffs would, you know, they may be willing to put a car in the parade.
Some stickers over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just even
Magnets.
like a, you know, we could print a poster board that has a QR code on it and
Mhm.
tape it to the side of the car, or they could hold it out the window.
Yeah.
I mean, any of those things.
We're spread out through the whole day there. I would kind of, I'm not gonna push back. I would say I'll put that back on you guys if that's something that you would help engage into. That'd be fantastic. We will be, as we talked about, staffing all the way through the fireworks, so it's gonna be really hard for us to coordinate that because we won't have as many people at each specific space, so.
I'll touch base with Zach Whartonby. He's LCSO and he was just selected for the SRO for the schools with Nancy retiring, and so that might be a fun way for him to
Okay,
twist his arm a little bit.
any engagement we can get.
Okay.
Yeah, so just some fun thoughts from the creatives. Okay, next. You know, should have kept it. And if you want to look at these, any of these events, or if you would like to at any time pop by, or call and say, hey, what's the next pop-up you think rec is gonna do? If you want to be involved in an evening, even for like 30 or 40 minutes, just to engage. We've got, these are not set in stone other than, you know, like it says, the stakeholder interviews. It's that kind of that whole week, that town hall they are tied into. But they really want to do a focus group one, potentially that day in the evening, but I'll get all that out. But any of the stuff that's, you know, like use pop-up game, we could do those pretty much any night of the week.
Mhm.
We have soccer or baseball every single night. So if someone from this group wants to get engaged, we can mobilize and just get a tent and have our cards out and get people in the QR. So just let us know ahead of time so we can get it ready.
Do we have to wait until that late in July to
For-
roll that out? Like the youth baseball pop-up, my kid plays. So I could do that, but I can't do it. I'm gone all of the end of July and beginning of August. Or is
Let
it
me
all just
get,
that focus week?
it's not all that focus week.
Okay.
So the majority of the focus is gonna be kind of endish of this month when we run out that full engagement plan and we have the website up.
Yeah.
Now it's just kind of that pre-engagement, getting people excited. So once that website is up, then we will have like that QR will go directly to the whole project website. Not saying that we can't ahead of time, just like we did at the beer garden.
One thought, when Rebecca and I were out at, my kid was playing soccer and we were talking about, promoting the master plan. And she was like, you know, the town has access to all of the, however you guys schedule the games and communicate with the teams. Could we post like a link to surveys within that communication?
Oh, you're talking about,
Like
Team
whatever
Snap,
team-
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I know we don't want it to be like spammy, but that's a way to push.
We will be putting like the link to, I mean, what we can do is put it at like the bottom of every single one of the emails that we send out, which we will. So all the
Okay.
participants that are signed up and everybody that gets our rec email will be getting that,
Okay.
so definitely everybody on Smart Rec. Yes, on Smart Rec, but everybody on Team Snap is
Yeah.
in our
Okay.
constant
That's a good
contact,
start.
so.
Yeah,
I have a quick question too. So when they did Brew Fest on Saturday, what were they doing? They weren't taking any surveys or doing anything. They were just doing what?
Pre-engagement,
Okay, so we have our big Mingle on Main, June 22nd. And it's the Pride one, which tends to pull the most people that we pull for Mingle. It would be really neat to have some outreach then.
sorry, say that again, the 20.
June 22nd.
22nd.
22nd is a Sunday?
Sunday, yeah.
Okay, then I'm off. It's the 21st.
T-
Sorry, just kidding.
20th,
It's the 20th.
It's the 20th.
which is.
Next Friday.
It's a Friday. night.
Yeah,
it's
next
Friday.
Friday. So the cards yeah, so basically what we set out at Brewfest, it had just like 3 really simple questions that they can start taking engagement from. Okay, the 20th.
I'm happy to help with that.
Yeah.
I'll check. Yeah, I can absolutely help with the 20th.
Let me mark this down and see who and what from Buried Down we could get going. We don't
Okay.
have too much on our calendars open.
Thank
This
you.
takes an hour.
You said the farmers markets, right?
Yep.
yeah.
And so the farmers markets, we had an internal conversation and we'll definitely engage at the ones that we have movies in the park, because we'll be there with games throughout the whole time. We do have the option of just, if we have staff available, to just pop over, set up a tent and have someone engage, or, even engage like we did out of the Main Street tent. They were happy to help us out, so. And I don't want to put more on them, but they're all about it.
Can we do it
Fest.
at our parks too? Like, once you have the full survey set up and we like go to a hotspot within the park, just to kind of get more engagement from people who might not have kids in there, or whatever, they're at the dog park or something like that, where, we can actually go out and sit
Yeah,
down and explain who we are to.
Oh,
all
you
sorts of people.
guys, yeah, absolutely. We will probably at certain locations, or more than probably, we definitely will be putting like the QR code up on signs and areas.
Splash pad.
The splash pad.
It's getting used a lot.
The pickleball courts.
Yeah, tennis courts that have pickleball courts on them. So that was a joke. No, definitely at locations all throughout town. Most of the shelters will have something put up. We have kiosks by the baseball fields. We'll put it up there. Any of the hotspots, but yeah, I mean, if you guys would like to engage, you have that roast badge, right? Just make sure you take that and identify if you want to go chat with the public, absolutely, and get them on the link and get them on the page. The big thing too will be, if you are wanting to, which would be amazing and willing to, once we have that website link up, you can show people like, hey, we're here. Remember they has that, like, if you don't like something about the dog park, or you love something about the dog park, drop a pin, put your comment in. And having the public learning from someone that knows how to use that is a great way to get them engaged, because hopefully then they'll say, hey, after you leave, we don't like the fact that there's, weeds here, or, this is open till so and so time, whatever it
Right.
is, getting them in tune with that is a great way to do that. I love that idea.
Perfect.
I mean, and that's how this group activates, right? Like, that's the important piece of this, is taking the knowledge that you have of what we're trying to do and getting it out there for the people. We don't know how many people are gonna open the letter, right? And look at their bill and go to pay and say, oh, town newsletter, whatever, survey, whatever. they can take the survey if they're sitting on a park bench somewhere, if they're showing how to get to it.
Mhm.
And that's an easy way. Someone under a canopy can go like, I see something wrong, or I love this.
Mhm.
And there are questions in that survey that we're building that are very directed at like, what can we do better? What services are lacking? It's not just like, what do you love? There are those, but we want to dial in more about how we can improve and what's failing.
Mhm.
So
Chamber of Commerce newsletter. If you send it to Carol, she'll put it in there.
fantastic. All those. We're gonna try to get it in, hopefully in like North 40 and we can get in the Colorado one. I mean, we have to find, we do want to engage our community, but what's gonna bring you up here too?
Mhm.
Where are we at to draw people in? Is it just trails? Is it if we build a community center? Is it if we have more baseball fields where you travel to them to use them? All that kind of stuff we need to know. Cool. So yeah, I would just consider cruising through that a little bit more. And like I said, just shoot me a text or call me if you have a good day. If you're like, hey, I'm got nothing to do on Tuesday. Okay, we got some of these baseball games. I'll meet you there. Who knows? Um, and then all this is just kind of yeah, within 30 days.
So, sorry if this is in there, but, so Friday is a draft, then they're gonna turn around the survey, then we'll have the final survey to be able to share. What is the timeline for distributing survey, capturing results and assessing?
The engagement phase, we want to kind of roll through the middle or end of August. That is, it fluctuates. It's usually about, I think they said anywhere from a month and a half to 2 months is where our sweet spot is. Too long and we're just kind of waiting for the tricklers, too short, and we might not hit all the places we need to. So that's kind of that 6 to 8 week period. So that's kind of what we're looking for. And the reason I say it fluctuates August is just like how fast we get it back. I mean, we definitely want all of this out before the 4th of July so we can start figuring out the best ways to get to people. So that the bulk of it is 4th of July to August 10th, 15th. And then if we feel like we don't have enough engagement, we can push it out maybe to the next movie in the park or the next town event. And then we also know that when school turns around, people's engagement opportunities and their mindset flips, right? So this is the time where if we get them where they're at, that's good. The only other thing I'd say is if we get PSD in the room and they allow us to do that, we might extend that engagement. If we can get with them to give it out, it's hard to get in Friday folders, but in their very first newsletter of the year, which comes pretty soon. If we can get there, that might extend our engagement for that piece. So that's kind of the question mark area for
Sorry.
that mass engagement.
Yeah, so for statistically relevant surveys, is there a target number of responses that Barry Dunn is looking for, a certain percentage of the population? Like, what do we hope to get?
As many as we possibly can, I would love to say, anywhere from, well, 20 to 30% of the surveys we send out by mail, if we get those back, that would be phenomenal.
It'd be huge.
I think anytime you can get over 15% is pretty good. But it's really hard to say how many we're looking for when we're going to events.
Yeah,
Because if we do a good enough job, can we catch 200 to 300 to 400 people every time? Are we gonna hopefully catch like 1,000 people at the 4th of July that are willing to take the survey now or later?
yeah.
That would be, I mean, that right there is,
Mhm.
that right there, and I know people at 4th of July aren't from, all of them from Wellington, but let's just say we get 700 to 1,000, that'd be fantastic. That's 1/12 of the population of Wellington right there. If we get 10% of the people at the statistically valid survey, you're looking at another 1,000, 2,000 capturing a good portion of the people that want to engage, and then all these little pop-ups.
Yeah.
That's kind
Okay,
of where
that's
we
good
look
math.
at,
Yeah,
but
that makes sense.
I
to
think
me.
that I would say if we could get, what, 2,000 to 3,000 people to engage, it would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be like blowing it out of the water.
Yeah.
But that's
Everybody
what they
was giving
say.
us numbers. Yeah, it was like, what did they say? Their best ever participation was like 30% or something is what they were saying,
Okay.
and that's like,
Out of the survey, yeah.
yeah, and that's like that town,
Yeah.
that town won awards for how many people participated
Wow.
and like how they communicated it, so.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Is there a way to tie some sort of incentive towards it? Like if you can win like $100
We have-
Main Street.
we
gift
have.
card or something.
It's in the packet.
Perfect.
That went out at Brewfest and they gave away a Yeti for
Oh, did
everybody
they?
that, yeah, oh, at the event, yeah.
Awesome.
And they've got more to do. Can we stand up and clap, everybody? Yeah. What's up, man?
Hello.
Our long lost.
I know, I feel it.
No, it's all good, yeah, for
What are
sure.
the company ones are cool?
I'm taking the squeaky chair.
I'm so lean back right now because I do not want to come.
There's more than one
frozen.
thing.
See, I'm frozen backwards, you're frozen. So yeah, those would be outstanding numbers,
Yeah, okay.
right? And it's crazy to think that, you know, a 10th to 15% of the population, but
Yeah,
it's good, but it really is, and that would be awesome. But the good thing is that we have so many different points of contact.
Mhm.
And if we don't get the numbers, then we'll extend it and they'll be able to provide that feedback for
Okay.
us. The other thing that we're doing right now, and you can go through this so we can get off this subject. I just really want to let you guys know kind of where we're at in the process and how, you know, how deep we're starting to get in making sure that this works out well. And then you know, making sure you guys feel engaged too. So at any point, keep asking like, when, you know, can we engage in this? Can we not? Eric and I are gonna start a deep dive into our recreation programming and there is a phenomenal expert. If I'm not mistaken, she gave the keynote at last year's NRPA, right?
So,
She was the keynote speaker at the National Parks and Recreation Conference, so she's part of this team. And she's, her name is Lakita, and she is a phenomenal person and advocate for Parks and Rec as well as equality throughout all portions of community. And it's kind of cool to say like, you know, she's emailing Eric and I was like, let's get started on this rec stuff, you know, like they have such a fundamental way of bringing people that care in. That's why, you know, part of the selection process, but so that's another thing that we're gonna get heavy into, and that is just literally just pulling 5 years of data and filling out a spreadsheet that she has sent us and just getting that portion of what we've been doing, how we've been doing it, the money that we're charging versus what we're getting back versus what our community goals are for subsidizing programs or not, and just, you know, so the recreation piece of that is starting to. So heavy lift there that we're haven't quite done, but it, you know, there's that day, the 20th, we've got to get it to her by that, but a lot of it's just pulling data and then working with her to understand what, you know, how she whips it all up, so we're good to go. Kind of all the stuff that I talked about that we've seen before, the family focused, friendly, open, the public, meeting people where they're at. And this is just an idea of kind of all the stuff that we've got and had to do behind the scenes to get ready for this. Some of the stuff we have, some of it we don't have, some of that they generated. But this is kind of the pre-engagement or pre-planning phase that we've kind of gone through as an internal town team, as well as some of the information on here they took from that pre-engagement meeting, and then they'll hopefully take a lot from when we sit down with them as a group.
we haven't had anything to do, good.
What?
We haven't had anything to do.
Not as of yet. Yeah, so that was just a little survey, the first one that was given out at Brewfest, and this one will come along again. So if we do a next engagement, I have to figure out if we can still use the same cards, because I would love to, because we don't have anything formal set in place. We just have to figure out a way to get a Yeti cooler either to the event or however we draw it to make sure that we get that person's information and get it to them. So that would be just my next step, but
Okay.
we can try to figure that out, because we do an engagement and they have, as I've been told, definitely stuff to give away to get people engaged. And they do love free stuff, but it's also, you know. What's awesome about, again, and I'll stop on the Barry Dunn thing, but they're like, it's all built in. You don't worry about it, you don't have to get anything. It's part of it. We're not gonna charge you for anything, like, we're gonna flexible, all this stuff. It's like. We have designed this so that whenever you need to engage, we have things not only to get people engaged, but get them excited about engaging, so.
Awesome. That's very cool.
Okay. Anything else? Sorry, I took up a ton of time there, but it does jazz me up because this is the project that is gonna take us forward.
I'm excited.
Anything else?
And Rick, pretty good information there, though. Really exciting moving forward.
Yeah, and yes, I'll stop.
Well, I know we're gonna move on to 4th of July, but when it comes to the booth and engagement at the 4th of July, I'll make myself available.
Okay.
After the parade, I'll cruise over, hang out for a bit.
Yep. And we aren't certain yet if we will have just a specific engagement booth, which I'm hoping that's where Barry Dunn will be, because they're gonna have at least 1 or 2 people there downtown, because we can do our own engagement up at the community park with the event up there, or we can do our engagement maybe with a little bit of help with this group, but we'll come back to this group on email, but once we get that set, which should be end of this week, middle of next week, because it is our big event, we'll want to dial in who's going to be where for what amount of time.
Mhm.
So, it might even be just a sign up list, as we've talked about, or just hey, I can show up from so and so time. No overlap for this one. You know, kind of like we did last year, where we just kind of, but maybe a little more formal.
Okay. 4th of July.
Well,
Anything else?
that kind of started it there. Starts it, ends it. We talk about it every day of the year. I just want to reiterate, so your guys' help is gonna be essential at that, because we're working the parade, we're working our stuff in the day, and we're staffing the fireworks. So it's gonna be a little bit more stretched out and thin, but also a little bit more flexible, because we're not doing a road closure at Community Park this year. Since all the vendors are gonna be downtown, in Centennial Park, we're just gonna have events plus maybe a couple more things that we're trying to figure out. We have the new blow ups and all that stuff, maybe some fun, exciting extras up there. But then we'll also have a few food trucks that are gonna park with their doors open to the treescape that runs down Buffalo Creek on the park side. So those lanes will be closed, but we're gonna keep it all open for parking. We're still gonna use the shuttle service so people can go from the festival back if they would like to get back downtown. But we don't have to close any roads up there, so we don't have to come directly around traffic to close roads and have everybody mess them up. So a little bit of freedom there. But I will get that settled. Eric and I'll get that settled with where we're gonna have specific engagement with Barry Dunn, and then send it out to this group as soon as possible to get everybody's input on when they can be there.
Should be better next week.
But yeah, I don't know, other than that, anything 4th of July related that. Maybe what more do you guys want to know about the 4th of July in general? If there are any questions about it?
Short and sweet.
Good. I think if you guys want to do anything with a float as a PROST, or would like to incorporate that with engagement,
Mhm.
I would love if you guys can kind of handle that thing internally. Again, we just don't have quite the capacity this year to put it together. I would be down to help decorate if needed, but I won't be able to drive.
Sure, I can talk to Aaron again. I'll know better next week what I look like.
Okay.
And then I could go from there. I know it's getting tight, but that's
The one last year was so cool.
it was super
Really
fun.
It was sweet.
It's amazing. I don't know, that's a lot. I'm still.
No pressure.
I know.
It was
Yeah, no
impressive.
pressure, but it was awesome. Yeah,
It was awesome.
Now
Updo that is gonna be, that's not happening.
Now they just have to spin fire at the same
Right,
time.
exactly.
So So,
Fire jugglers. I could probably arrange that pretty easily. Somebody has to walk down the street and get authorization forms, just like while you're going down the street.
it's amazing. I don't mean to jump in, but real quick, one thing with events that I can just say now, everybody got the invite for Friday?
Yeah.
If you can't make it, not a big deal, but, if you can be there, it should be fun. I have half hour set up. I don't know if it'll take longer, but.
Kevin's confirmed.
Kevin's confirmed. I'll have some very short speaking points. I don't know if anybody else from this group would like to speak real quick, just about the PROST side of the process. Did Kevin want to say anything?
He says, let me know what you want from me,
Yeah.
is his response, so. If he'd like to, I didn't know how many people we're inviting, how big of an event, but
As of now, I'm looking at, 12 people, maybe. Just have some little snacks afterwards.
You didn't tell me there was snacks.
I've got a plan for snacks. It's gonna
Really?
be hilarious.
Snacks make or break things.
Yeah, just a ton of goldfish.
I was gonna say.
Little
we're
children.
cutting
be the ramp.
something, is there mayor coming, do we have any of that type of stuff coming?
I think he's coming. I'm not 100% certain. There will be trustee members there. I sent it out a while ago when I put the official invite with the calendar date on it. I
Okay.
didn't get his, but if he's in town, he'll be there.
Yeah.
Has anybody been over to look at the dog while we're on that real quick?
People were using it
Like in
today.
the last day?
There were 4 or 5 people on it when I was.
Go check it out. We got a safety rail put up around it. It looks really sharp over there.
I saw it from the highway.
It's awesome.
Like
You
caught
can see
my
it there,
eye,
yeah.
yeah, which is neat.
So go check it out.
They got stuff.
Day before. That's at CPW last week. I met the guy out there today. I didn't get the 100% up there, but he's like, seems to be pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. WCP Memorial.
This is the bid set. I hope everybody had a chance to look at it. I did have some comments. I don't have clarification on them. Aaron asked me a few questions just about the second page, which is just a lot of verbiage. I don't know if you guys saw that. I had a chat with him and he kind of clarified what he was saying. I think everything should be fine with the way that it's stated, but I will make certain. I did have a conversation with Daryl from the American Legion, who's the new commander there. He came into the office yesterday and just kind of wanted an update on the plan. He's like, I haven't seen this. I was like, well, it's in the pros packet. You can find it online, but I printed out a version of it for him and kind of showed him and walked him through everything that, in our one-on-ones and everything we've been talking about that's going on in this plan set. And I just wanted him to know too, like, the biggest thing is the landscape isn't like 100% set, but his thing is that he wants for sure to have some sort of a memorial to make sure that all of the veterans that have passed from our community have their names, and then a place for those that are coming. And he was very candid and said, I don't know anybody from our post that has any plans on leaving here. So, we want a place for ourselves as well. And I was like, that's very fair. And this is what it's for. And they have a person that is going to make and draw up a version of what it will look like and potentially make it and then donate it to the memorial for us. And I said, before we do any landscape, let's go pick out a rock you want that thing to be stuck to, and let's make sure it's in the right place you want it to be in, and we will do that together. We can do it as a PROST board with them. He can give me where he wants it on the site, and I can approve it with everybody here. We can bring him in and do it. But that to me, he was like, I just want to make sure that we have this in there. And I said, you absolutely. And then I talked him through the things we had talked about where plaques could go, whether they're under the flags to talk a little bit about each branch as well as space throughout if we want to do anything for the different wars. And he's like, I've got someone that is a war historian. He can write up all this stuff. You can take what you want. And so they're going to do their portion of that.
Wow.
Just on that end, he's like, we're just going to do it. And then whatever comes, I was like, this might be another phase. It might be later on. I'm not 100% certain what all we're going to get done in this first phase, but we do have, I have a pretty good, project expense list. It's going into the packet, and I didn't want to put the grant packet in here yet. But we're submitting that grant this week. Kelly has worked her butt off to get that ready, but once that is ready to submit, again, that's another thing I'll send out. It was kind of in multiple different places that she was putting together, so I didn't want to stop her process and be like, can you give me that file, that file? So it's not in here, but once that is sent, I will, or ready, I will get that sent out to you guys so you can look over the grant plan, but there's line items for pretty much everything. There's also line items for all the stuff that we're looking to do either in kind as far as, you know, potentially the benches and the lighting. As well as, you know, all the labor that it's gonna take to do landscaping. So they don't ask for like in kind, but we are showing them that the project cost came out to be X amount of dollars. Right now it's sitting at like 96, but like 38 of that is in kind or town donate or whatever, because Public Works has some boulders that they're gonna put, you know, all that stuff. So you'll be able to see that. So we're, you know, well, if that project cost sits, if we were to get the grant, we will need either some funding or to put it in the budget for next year, because as I've said before, that timeline for the grant is hopefully we'll have it open before Memorial Day next year. That would work really well with the grant timing, but also we're gonna shoot for it. We're gonna shoot for it. And I sat down with Jim Miller, who kind of with PROST kind of kicked this thing off and really got with the American Legion back in the day to get this going. He loved what it looked like. He loved the feel of it. He was all about like, we've got the boulders, we'll help put the trees in. You show me where you want the conduit, you know. So they're all on board. I think everybody's really on board with this project as well.
Amazing.
I'm so
It's
excited.
awesome.
I'm thrilled that Daryl came in, because that was the one thought I had after we did our one-on-ones, was like, oh, we really need to make sure that like the Legion is a big part of this process,
Yep.
because they're the veterans in our community.
Yeah. I think that they really appreciated that we've got it to this level and that they're like, these are the few things that we would like in here. And I was like, you better believe it. Like, this is gonna be lasting. And then he talked about, you know, as we've kind of chatted, they've got the moving wall, the wall that can collapse and move, and there's a space right there for like if Memorial Day, 4th of July, they want to bring it in across the sidewalk and post it up next to the dog park. There's that area. So he's like, yeah, this is great. So it's fantastic. We have space for it.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's designed for that. So they were jazzed. He was jazzed. And you know, if we can get an Eagle Scout to build he told me what the specific, basically the flag retirement burning pit. There we go. He was like, great, because right now we do it, but we would love a space to come and do it. It was like, okay, that's one thing we definitely need to try to do. Let's swing. So.
Good.
Yay.
Good.
Levels. Right? We've been working on levels
Yep.
for donating. Kelly has helped put together yeah, just the different levels, the bronze, silver, and gold, and then what that would get you for doing that. Hoping to get finalized and get posters out so people can scan and start donating money. I think they're ready. So I think there's quite a few groups and businesses, and I think people are excited now that it's more formal to donate.
And those are donations that are going into the town.
Just the town portion of it, right?
Bucket.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would just go
Cool.
straight to project cost for this project.
It would be kind of cool if you put up a sign at the site of it and said project coming soon, scan this QR code, so then
Yeah.
they can see it all, see the donation stuff, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they wanted to donate or get in early or see what it's gonna look like.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we'll see. where this lands. But the fact that we have everybody on board, the opportunity for a grant, multiple funding sources, multiple people activating, like. I think that's what it's gonna take, because if we don't get the grant, well, there's a huge gap there,
Yeah.
to get up to that close to $100,000 project. And the other thing that, you know, if we get to a point that we don't have, like, if we have to go back out and get for sure a concrete contractor to come in, that could kind of waylay what we might be able to do, because hopefully some of that in kind is within Public Works wheelhouse, and they would be involved, like, it's just, you know, if we get to a point where it's November and cold and they can't do it, or, you know, rainy and they get other projects, just like we get projects, it's like we can't pass up on this opportunity, then we might have to flip this, like. Funding sources aplenty are going to be necessary for this.
When is the
So
grant
town-
awarded? Let's just announce that.
That might be the 30 to 60 days that I was thinking about earlier. So it closes on June 30th,
Mhm.
but we're putting it in now, and I think it's 30 to 60 days there.
I have two things. And I don't wanna ruffle feathers with this at all. One is that we probably should stop referring to it as a memorial on all of our
Oh, yeah.
stuff, because we opted to not name it that.
Where is that at?
It's on our agenda. So just
That's-
something for like, and with the way we talk about it, I know I have to catch myself sometimes, cause
You're right.
still do that. And then with the donation piece, is there a reason that that wasn't sent out to PROST for us to talk about before that was designed, or is that specifically coming from the town?
We haven't really pushed anything out. It was just kind of
I'm
Kelly,
super
yeah.
excited it's done, cause I know we've talked about it
yeah.
forever, but we keep having these conversations about like what needs to come through PROST. And that feels like that's one of those things.
Yeah, and we can get it out to everybody. That's not anything set in stone, but at the same time, like, you know.
We need to move forward and start
Kelly-
doing stuff. Like, we just keep talking
Well,
about it, but it doesn't get done.
I agree, but we've been down this road. And so I feel like it's one of those, if we're gonna hold it, if we're gonna say we need to do that for other pieces, then we need to be consistent and making sure that we're on the same page. So I'm all for having donation levels. So,
Okay. Let me, along with the 4 other things that I need to get out to everybody after this, we'll definitely tag that one in there.
thank you.
Yep.
I'm excited. We have been asking for it for a long time, so it's great to have it done.
Yeah, that was, I mean. Kind of just went to, Kelly was like, I got it.
Just
Got it.
communication for all of us.
What else?
That's the grant, that's the plan set. I think. Anytime we can activate for getting the same word out like the master plan.
So we have our cornhole tournament that we had to reschedule from the end of May to the 22nd. So if you guys will follow the Friends of Wellington and share that out, we'd appreciate it.
What date is that going to be?
22nd
Okay,
of June.
it is the 22nd, okay.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Move on. PROST Board, bylaws. All right, I've been working a little bit with, our clerk. To just kind of go over some very basic things. She just kind of wrote up notes on this about what she would consider changing to make these a little bit more updated. So, this is more of just a homework piece for next meeting.
I didn't have it specifically on the agenda to potentially vote on. But if you want to just look at the notes that she had made and see how they would cross over onto anything that you guys would think, she's gone through and kind of edited, naming, adding different, updating any of the sections for coding, as well as any articles that have changed since this was adopted. So that we can just make sure that we're up to date and adopt new ones. Anything else you would like to add to it, if you could, whether you want to take notes and send them to me, but I would like to have something that is a little bit more formal and sent out so that we can adopt next time and just
Yeah.
put it on either a consent or just a quick vote before we do or within the July meeting. If that's too short of a time turnaround, considering that we're doing the entire the master plan thing, if we can get them in here next time, then we can give 2 months, because then we can talk about it at the next one and then turn it around for vote in August. Yeah, I just wanted to, we had talked about one, getting everybody up to date on being able to, have this in front of them, and then also making it more pertinent to the group that we're at right now. So any thoughts on this? I know, we didn't get a chance to read it before, but that's what my hopes is, that we can read it and then talk about it next time or adopt it next time through any changes. Yep.
If we're gonna adopt changes next time, is it worth having it typed up with the updated language, like highlighted? And sent out to all of us so we can read it with the.
Yeah, for sure. This is just for you to read and see what we're just kind of working on right now.
Yeah.
I also don't, if someone doesn't like the changes, I don't want to make the changes right now before, but we can highlight the changes if that is that.
I think it'd be nice
easiest.
to read it with the updated changes, just so we know how it's going to read. That's just me.
Okay.
I don't mean to add extra work, but if
Yep.
we're gonna make changes.
Yep.
There are references to other sections in here too, so if we can find those, or if they can be copied and pasted.
Yep.
I don't know if those are like critical pieces, but yeah, that would be helpful. And then Billy, what's the, do we have to vote on the adoption of the bylaws, or what's the like as a board, or what's the process?
Yeah, so there's a town code that says that advisory boards don't have to go to the Board of Trustees to adopt their bylaws.
Okay.
So the new bylaws can be adopted specifically within this group without having to do a whole new ordinance and have the Board of Trustees vote on it.
Got it.
So yes, I'll make the necessary changes. And then update anything that I change, I'll highlight, and then if anybody has edits, just send them over to me and I can highlight and edit those too and get like a finalized draft to be adopted.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. So this is gonna be a critical one where there'll be a decent amount of work that we get done in between meetings for sure to get everything just squared away. Or just, it's gonna be, something like this is gonna be super hard unless we set a whole meeting aside to sit down and like go through. So that was my hopes, like, if we're looking at, give me edits,
Mhm.
then we'll get it out well in advance to read and then adopt it. Sorry. So roles and responsibilities that was asked to be put on here, just kind of as an idea of where we're at. Just chatting about everybody making sure we're good going forward. in our roles.
I guess what I had talked with Billy about was what his role is specifically as a liaison, you know, what is he responsible for? Because I know in the past you didn't have somebody from town staff that was like a super like presence for the board. And that Billy has really taken, like, is a liaison essentially for the PROST department or for Parks and Rec. And so trying to understand like what is Billy really responsible for? What are some things that we as a board need to hold and be responsible for that maybe Billy has been doing? So that was kind of my ask for that. And so I thought it was just worth talking about.
Well, in the past week, you're right, we did have a few liaisons that weren't really engaged as much. I think the liaison really is to provide a lot of the information that comes from the town and from like the previous, engagements that we've had and things that are historically kept with the town.
Yeah.
And then obviously anything as far as updates on projects moving forward. And, I mean, things that we won't get our hands on until we get to these meetings.
Right.
As far as what we are responsible for is just taking that information, processing it, providing our best input back to the trustees and to the town of what we see as a goal moving forward or how a project should be going.
Right.
And then obviously, with like the master plan and a lot of the engagement stuff is just being that volunteer that we're doing already right now, which is getting out there and engaging the community and helping provide one-on-one stuff with the community. The town, obviously, Billy said 4th of July, they're gonna be stretched thin.
Mhm.
So, times like that, that's things that we wanna step up and do. And then, we're out, we have our parks that we're looking at, and we go out and we supposed to be in the community. And I think that's like the main section of it, but really a lot of it is what you wanna take on.
Right.
A lot of it is what you have time for, and it's all volunteer work, so it's what you can provide and what you feel comfortable doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Is
That's-
it,
the way I see it.
sorry,
No, go ahead.
is it Billy's job to put together the agenda, or is that something that we should be doing as a board?
Well, it's written in the bylaws about the agenda, and we've gone back and forth, and I know Billy can, I mean, if you want to be engaged, and we do have the open document of if you want to add something to the agenda. You can always get in there and you can give Billy a call, hey, what do you think about doing this? I think that's just a collaboration, and then obviously with Billy knowing when things are coming through with the town. Just being able to put those things on the agenda because he has an update on them. But it is definitely a group effort. It's definitely something you can be involved in for sure. So there is that, is it a Google document that it's on? I forget now.
The Google Drive.
The Google Drive,
Yeah.
so you can feel free to add to that at any time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, one thing that has spurned via conversation is I feel sometimes like at the meetings, especially looking back at them, like I give a lot of updates, but a lot of the things that end up on the agenda could be in updates. We're not voting on a lot of the things that are on the actual agenda. Now, if they're big projects like, the master plan updates and WCP Memorial. But I mean, as far as the direction of this board, I would like, a little bit more input. On a monthly basis of what you want to see, not just on the agendas, but like how we want to move this forward. Cause after the memorial's done, I hope, or the gardens are done, excuse me. That's seemingly a lot of what we talk about, but what are our next steps? I know we're waiting for the master plan, but this is your board, I'm the liaison. I feel like a lot of the times, I drive these meetings, I feel like I look back and I'm talking for 80% of it, and I'm okay to do that. But most of that is, a lot of it is what we're just working on in our department. And I don't know where that balance is. If that's what you guys want, that's great. But I'm also like,
I think what we had in the past was we had small projects, medium projects and large projects, and I don't know of any small projects that we have going right now. So that was one thing that drove everybody to do something. I had my pet project of the skate park, so that was always a driving force for me personally, where I had like, can I get money? Can I do stuff? Can I, like, so. I mean, that's kind of, but, so-
Right.
So, I mean, that would be, just examples of how it ran forward. I think small projects are definitely a big thing, we had the dog park, and excuse me, I haven't been here for a while, so I
You're good.
don't know I'm really out of everything, so. Where we're at with the dog park, I know that was that was another thing, it was kind of probably in the larger size project compared, with all the other stuff, but yeah, I mean, more small projects would be, I think, ideal, and they do take up time, but they're not, I guess, large in dollar amounts anyways.
Right.
What I mean by small, like easier things to accomplish in the money world. So, but, right, that's kind of what you're thinking, to get like, just keep the flow going.
Keep the
and-
flow going, like I don't know, I just feel like there's not a ton of things that we talk about that are just like open discussion items. It's more just like, here it is, I give you what's coming on next. We talk a little bit
I
about
guess
the
the master
project,
plan's
it's
like
like,
sucking up everything though,
I don't know.
really, I think that's
Yeah.
the whole, like,
and it is,
Well, can I just offer, I'll share, because I don't think we've been efficient about the Veterans Garden and the design and that communication, frankly. You had to spend a lot of one-on-one time with all of us because we weren't communicating as a group around what our thoughts were, responses, and I felt like that put you in a position where you had to take your own time to do that. So I know I met with you, but like when you reach out by email or text and one or two people respond, that's not effective. Like, I think we need to do a better job of being more effective in our communication, getting things done. If we need to talk design, we have 2 hours a month to do it. Like, that should have happened in this meeting, I feel. So I'm just trying to be respectful of everybody's time, and yours specifically, and I think that's where Sarah's coming from. Like, it's not, we're taking anything away from you, but like, you are spending your own time having to coordinate all of us, and like, that's just not as effective as it could be, I think.
I think sometimes when we present stuff, it's not all getting attended to, if we spend time, we bring in plans and everybody's like, okay, it doesn't say anything.
Yeah,
That's really hard.
yeah,
When we bring plans in, lay them across the table and don't get a ton of feedback, right? And
Yeah.
so, I think when it does happen, it needs to be participated in and efficient,
agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
and I have a one-on-one, one thing I want to do, and those of you that I've spoken to, I wanna just have like an open door where if we have something that you wanna talk about or need clarification, and I'm getting this directly from the town administrator, like she does sit downs with the board of trustees members, and the way that has trickled down and how it's become very effective for town staff is that if we have something we're working on that she knows about, which she knows about everything that we're doing because we talk about it weekly. She manages up to them by saying, what questions do you have? Here's what they're working on. How can we get this information to you so that when we're sit down here, when they sit up there, it's the most productive. Like if you have questions beforehand, Patty asks them, they give the information to Patty, she comes directly to us as the people that are working on the project or whatever it is that we're presenting to the board of trustees and says, here are the questions that they have. If you have answers now, give it to them, they can decide. And then that eliminates a lot of the time up there that take the trustee meeting. I would love that to happen here so that anytime you have questions on what's next in the packet, or if you have an idea, we can discuss it. One, so that if it's a great idea, it's like elaborate on that yourself and then present that here so it's concise and we know what it's fitting into. But also, if you have questions about what we're working on or referencing back, that can be dealt with in a one-on-one situation, so that when we get here, we're super efficient. And I would love that. I would love more one-on-one time with everybody, because I think that would hold everybody a little bit more accountable, and I can say like, I really need your engagement on X, rather than just sending out an email. Like, I need you to let me know what you feel about this, so I can, you know. So we have more to vote on, so we can start, if it's on the agenda, that should be the last that we talk about it, unless there's updates for what we've decided.
Okay.
Does that make sense to everybody? I don't know if I can, like, if it doesn't, I can present it better, but I guess my time is spent more efficiently if I can meet outside of here rather than just kind of looping through, and I hope that's efficient for you guys too.
Okay, if you're good with that, then
Yeah.
I'm good with that. I just wanna make sure you're good with that.
Yeah, I've had very effective conversations with a lot of everybody in here, including,
Yeah,
Trustee Daly. And one thing that she said is, she's like, we need to activate the time in between meetings better.
Mhm.
Like there just has to be more to it. And that's why I've said it a couple times here. Like, this is your homework in between next one. I want to be very, very straightforward about that. Like, if we're ever gonna get these adopted, we've got to do work outside of the meeting to make sure that when you come here, it's like, I agree with that. We're all on the same page. Or I agree with it. If you strike that line, does everybody agree with that? Okay, good. Move on to the next thing.
Mhm.
Any other thoughts?
As long as we're not, abusing or misusing, any issues of having group emails and stuff like that. I tend to be uncomfortable with, some of the group emails, and we'll just privately email back. Just cause that's how we were originally set up, of not having,
a reply all is not that's, I mean,
there's always been confusion about Sunshine Law and what was okay
okay.
to be happening.
Yeah.
So I tend to err on the side of not doing that. I think we're probably.
Well, we originally did follow sunshine law, so it was like the groups, and it was, had to be posted public, and everybody had to know that we were doing that. And then we realized that we weren't making, we're making decisions, but we're not making like trustee level decisions. We're
Yeah.
not spending money. We're more the advisory board, so we took that as, it's just us being able to toss around ideas. But still, even I'm the same way, some of those group ones, cause I was a trustee too, so it was like, okay, what am I doing here? So, but we still, I lean towards not doing it all the time. But reply all is fine, we're not breaking any rules, and we're not hurting anything.
Well, we're not voting on
They were
anything
not voting
necessarily right
anything,
now,
yeah.
right?
But see, it doesn't always just apply to voting, because like I could be out, when I was a trustee, Tim Whitehouse, me and him would see each other, and two of us were great, we were fine. Bring in another guy,
Mhm.
now somebody has to leave.
Yeah,
So, cause you're spitballing ideas, and then that level is a little more.
Yeah.
Decision making. On our level, it's spitballing ideas, and I
Yeah.
think we're fine with the reply all in the group email.
And to make everyone just feel better, at the time, because I remember I was here when we went over that, and the town attorney did weigh in on that. So they have told us that we are not subject to sunshine law for this board.
okay.
So by replying all, we're not doing anything.
Yeah. I think that's a necessary, so that we're not missing pieces of conversations. I
I'll
mean,
do better, I'll use it. Yeah,
And if
and I'll make
it's
sure,
Comfortable level, but get there.
that's something that I can fix easily on my part.
That's really like insightful. I didn't realize that, one, it was the comfort, but two, it's just very different from corporate America, where you see everybody at CYA, so like that's how I'm used to it. Yeah.
Bye.
Yes. It's that, behavior, and that's how, that context is.
Well, I appreciate that, cause I get an understanding where you're coming from, and I will do better about that, so. Yeah,
Okay, good.
and I do agree the communication probably in between meetings could definitely improve a little bit, so.
And some of that definitely, like, just like as tonight, where it's like, oh, like, sorry about the minutes, if you need to table, like, you know, I have some of that too. I think if we get in a better rhythm about like, if I can get the minutes a week after.
Yeah.
And then everybody can get
Have
on
time.
and let me know, look at the minutes, but also let me know what you want on the next agenda. I'll send a temporary one out, add to it, and then we have a full week of time to review.
And I probably need to do a better part getting a hold of you in between meetings. So I will put time aside to make sure that we're talking about agenda and.
Yeah.
And going through some stuff.
And that's, you know, I hope if everybody wants it, you know, even if it's like a 15-minute call, or if you wanna pop into my office. Just, you know, just text me or call and I'll just say, hey, what's a good time, you know, it might take some coordination, but if you want, we can also get on a schedule, you know, 15-minute call X day after the meeting, just to follow up.
And like I've said before, I can make myself available if anybody ever wants to meet.
Okay.
You guys will have my number, so. It's gonna probably be after work, but we can put time aside.
What else?
You okay? You want?
I mean, is everybody clear? Like, we're like reading through all of the documents of the Roberts Rule of Order to understand how the meetings are supposed to be run. I mean, I know the Google Drive's all put together, but does everybody know what all is in there?
Should we have another piece of homework that everybody needs to review?
Just a review to be in there. Yeah, and there's things that sometimes like, you know, Robert's Rule of Order, point of order. There's times that people are going off on tangents and we can totally say, Joe could say, Orland, point of order. Stop. Or whatever it is, right? And so we can, definitely, if everybody's up to speed on those, we can, run that a little more efficiently too. But there, yeah, if everybody understands that all the documents that are in there, obviously you do, because you put them in there, but,
We can send that out again and have everyone review.
yeah, just to make sure. Okay.
Just share the drive folder with everybody.
And if people want paper copies, we can print them. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
As I said, come to my office, requests from there.
Great.
Okay.
Park tours.
What's yours?
This is me. Again. One of the thoughts that I had, I know that we're really heavy in our master plan and. Doing that, but one of the thoughts that I had expressed to Billy, and I think I put it in the email I sent to everybody when he asked for agenda items. Was if we maybe have the flexibility of spending at 30 to 45 minutes doing business in our meetings and then using some of this time to like go and visit a park for 30 to 40 minutes, you know, and doing, it's gonna feed in a little bit to the master plan and parks engagement, but I thought you guys have talked about, you've done that all the time. And it's something that we should be doing more often. And I thought, well, what's a better use? If what we're heavy on right now is our engagement in our parks master plan, what's better than to spend some of our meeting out walking a park and talking? So I wasn't sure if that's something that's even feasible, if it's something that people are interested in. It was just another kind of idea that I'd throw out.
Can we take the owl mobile?
Well, yeah, that's my question. And I think it's a good idea. But are we, since we are supposed to be,
Recording.
recording and
Yeah.
transparency and stuff like that, and obviously we've always hoped that we would have people coming to our meeting.
You lost that one doing it.
So what is the thought process? What are the rules? What are we, do you guys know what, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I'd love to. Obviously, it needs to be during the summer, not the winters, right? But like, yeah.
Wouldn't that require us to conclude our meeting and then it would be to just meet at the park and an unofficial?
Unofficial or, yeah, I mean, if it's recorded, it's not considered like an executive session or.
We're not
a
making any
special
decisions, right?
meeting.
No.
Right,
People would be invited.
Yeah.
If we had
Mhm.
30 people in here hanging out for our
Well, that-
meetings, they could come.
if we schedule it out, and I'll follow up with, to make sure, but if we put it in the packet as well and posted that and said, this is part of the meeting, if, you know, public is allowed to come with us to engage.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, the times that it was successful, we did a really good job of scheduling outside of this meeting. And I know it's tough to get there, but this is the time of year to do it.
Mhm.
So I'm up for investigating this. I'm also up for making myself on the opposite Wednesday available to meet at parks like we've done before.
Then we could kind of even tag team it with informing about the survey. Stuff like that. We're setting up
Yeah.
who's doing park tours the one, like the week after our meeting
Mhm.
as a larger group, you
Yeah.
know?
Although we've got to like July and August, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough.
And maybe this is something that like doesn't happen now. I think part of it came about where I was like, I wonder if we should be front loading agendas during the winter months with like real work sessions where we're like tackling things. And then as the weather starts to warm up, we shift how our agenda functions. And we move more into, because Billy's gonna update us about events and things that are happening, and then we say, okay, well, that's the update we needed. We don't have anything else we need to make a decision on. So during the months of May through October, you will find us out after our meetings. And we'll pick a park, you know, it doesn't have to be something that's done now. It was just kind of a like, could we make this work?
I think it's a time issue, like,
Yeah.
you would need to schedule it like now,
Yeah.
so that we can get enough in before the time changes and it's dark again and.
Right. But even if
Yeah.
we just say, we're not gonna do that this summer, but next summer, that's something we're gonna be doing. I mean, it'd be nice if we could do a little bit this year with engagement, but if we already have other things. We're gonna need us for engagement, we wanna make sure we don't overextend ourselves either. You know, we have to be mindful of the fact that we're all busy. And we're gonna be doing a lot of engagement.
Like I said, for me, I can make myself available. Wednesdays now are pretty good for me, so doesn't have to be this Wednesday that we have meetings, but it also, if this group agrees, that, I mean, we could start really trying to dial this in, cut down. I mean, some of the stuff, if we do go out to the parks, well, we could talk about the stuff that's on the agenda at the park we're going. You know, I could have done the whole WCP spiel while I was there.
But doesn't
But
that
then
need to be, yeah.
Then we're
transparent?
not getting out to the public if they wanted to,
Yeah.
for everybody that's watching at home right now.
Right. Well, I guess this one,
Yeah.
put it on the agenda. If we don't have public comment and nobody's here, I don't know. It's a very interesting way to kind of. It almost has always felt like a special meeting to us or something outside of an actual PROST meeting to be official. I mean, I'm open to suggestions and I'll do the research of what we need to do, but I think the biggest portion of this, we all agree that getting out into the parks as a group and talking about the parks and seeing them maybe from those with experience in the parks, as well as those with new eyes in the parks, as well as those with the everyday, you know, travel and because there are things that I could talk hours about one corner of every single park and what we think about doing there and what it takes to maintain that.
And that's what I think we want.
Yeah,
That's what I want.
right.
And I think again, then it's more time that we're out in public too. And we're showing our faces and people know who we are and.
What's on the agenda for next month?
Just the potential PROST engagement.
I mean, so potentially we could get one on for next.
I can talk to Barry Dunn and see how long would they think that it would go on the what is it, the 8th?
The 9th,
The 9th.
Yeah.
Gonna do my days.
So I just do it. I mean, if people start complaining, then they're actually listening and they're paying attention. Like, I mean, that's kind of,
Yeah,
that's how it stirs stuff up, right? I mean, that got the whole
Yeah.
dock rolling when we posted a picture of it and then it was like, what's going on? Let's get stuff. We need this. We need
Yeah, all of a
that,
sudden
we
everybody
need-"
wants to be involved. We're like,
Everybody's, right? That's, yeah, we're like, oh, yeah, all right, here we go. We got people, right? I mean, it's kind of.
I mean, another thing to consider is, although it's not videoed and I can talk to like. If this thing goes down, supposed to record it, we did record, I would just put this in the middle of the table up until a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Right? And it would just hit record and we just have an audio recording. I would do our meeting minutes based on going through my phone, you know, so if I take it out there, does that also help? And then we can take minutes off that.
yeah,
Like, I'll find that stuff out, but
Okay.
I love the idea. I know it's hard to get together in between. If we're trying to do more work and clerical stuff and understanding, and that's gonna help us get through the agenda. That gives us more time together. Maybe that's a marriage of the best way to spend our
Easier to make
time.
one long day than several shorter days. I ain't
yeah,
got
we
no.
can't get away.
Yeah, it's like, I'm already away. I could stay here till tomorrow morning at this point.
Okay.
You know?
Okay,
It's
I mean,
kind of
if
the-
that's the best for everybody, I'm in, like, I don't have anything usually to do
Bring your
after these.
flashlight.
Right, it's like.
Your headlamps, make sure
We
you.
are just ordering new headlamps for our team.
And
that's
bug
doing
spray.
media in the park. Yes, they did fogging, but you know.
Yeah, so potential if we could do maybe 6 to 7 at the next meeting and then right after that, say 7 o'clock, then we head off to
Be awesome.
whatever the
Very
priority is
very
that you
cool.
guys wanna talk
Vote
about.
on that right now. Where are we going?
Can we, well, one of the things that I'd love to do, because we haven't touched base on it in a while, is Knowles Linear Park, because we've been talking about the multi-discourse going in. So to me, that's one of those smaller projects that sorry, Billy, sorry.
Smaller?
Sorry,
No,
no,
yeah.
but I mean, like, it's one of those projects that's been talked about that hasn't been talked about in the last couple of months.
Yep.
And so that's where we
Okay.
should go, and that's what our conversation should be.
So
Great.
what we did last time, and we didn't even get there, but we can do Harvest and Knowles Linear up to the underpass.
It's good direction.
Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Hey.
Great.
Yep.
Are we voting? How do we vote that?
I was just kind of.
Okay.
No,
What?
I mean, I'm
I don't think it
perfectly
really has
not
to,
to vote,
but-
I just-
It's not that official, it's not a.
no, but I think, right, like you're gonna write it on there, you're gonna put it on the agenda, so it's
Yes.
absolutely clear, and
Yeah.
anybody public that wants to join to be part of that is
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah, I do.
I mean,
If there's something against this and we can't, I'll let everybody know that.
Yeah.
But I don't see how the public, our best use of time is being out there too, that's kind of.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's think about that.
If we ever come up with something that we need to really discuss on, we bring it to the next meeting and be like, this is what we talked about at the park.
And I love
Boom,
that.
boom, boom, we're gonna
And that's
talk.
kind of why,
Yeah.
if we add those to the minutes, these are the main discussion topics we would like to push forward onto the next agenda.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you. That's good, Robert.
so when we talk about next week's or next month's agenda, the two big things then would be, bylaws, voting on our bylaws, with us having all read and agreed on that, and having our presentation with Barry and done. Those are the two big hot items that need to be discussed, right? Because 4th of July will be done by then,
Mhm.
and then we spend the rest of the time out at the park.
Yeah.
Sorry, it just came to mind.
No.
Is everybody clear on, right, like the ordinances are set by the town, but the bylaws is us?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Good clarification.
No, thank you.
No, I think
Like,
it's-
Yep.
there's plenty of jargon in there. It's helpful to have that.
There's a lot of jargon. Cool. Okay, right. That's, okay.
Yay.
I like that. So I think we just kind of at least went over, oh, sorry, I'm stealing your thunder. If nobody else has anything on shores, I think that's good.
No, but what's future, what was on future calendar?
Future calendars next.
So that we could maybe clean off August too and make another part two after that.
What we got?
Oh, yeah.
I think all of these chairs are becoming squeaky.
Well, he's playing, we did the future calendar, yeah.
Right.
Well, he's gonna.
Which one is not the squeaky chair now?
Future meeting calendar. WP 40, please. I can't.
You came in and like losing screens on that.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, my computer got reset like a month or so ago, and so some of my links are gone. And so I have to find posts, yeah, indeed it does.
There's no plans right now for, is it Stars and Stripes?
Oh, Stars and Scars, yeah.
Stars and Stripes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
No, it's, well, no, I mean, yes and no, I would love to. But I'm so tired.
I know.
I'll know next week. I'm just working
We'd like to come down and watch.
day and night every day, so I'm just so tired. I'm trying to finish by July 1st is what I'm trying to finish, so that's why I'm super close.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's very exciting, but I don't wanna. It'll probably, after next week, if I can get done, I can take time off from that place and do something else, but I don't wanna commit to anything yet.
You know, that route might also be skateboarders should be included in the.
Stakeholders.
At that stage.
Skatewell should
Oh,
be
is that-
on this, on the stakeholder list.
Yes, I'm not seeing that. Stakeholder meeting.
Yeah.
Stakeholder
But it's a living document with them.
to it.
With them
Yeah. It's on the, very done.
in there for.
It's for that.
Oh, BMX
cast. Will you? Okay.
What's his name? Jordan should know. Contact.
Jordan. Just for maybe like a point of order type thing, can we get can you just take down everything everybody's saying, get them in the minutes to add so that we know and we see those? You wanna spout those out real quick? I know we're going back, but
We're talking
The
about
what?
stakeholder?
yeah,
Oh,
just so we have them
Right.
now.
Got it. Do you want me to read off who we have?
Yeah, that'd be great.
American Legion, PSD, Chamber, Prost, Main Street, BMX just added, and the bicycle guys, hold on, that's a little bit further down. Skatewell, okay?
Anything else we can think of right now? I mean, we can take more in, but if we have those in the minutes, we'll just take those immediately and
Mhm.
plug them right in for Very Done to start working on. And us, Very Done to start working on who to get in contact with immediately.
The town has a list of licensed home daycares. I thought that might be good to include them. Obviously, Creative Kids is one, and I know there's another professional one. Who's the other one in town?
Little Monster.
Thank
Little
you.
Monsters might be
Oh.
on there. We had talked about that, but great.
And Boys and Girls
A
Club.
very,
Absolutely.
very,
Aluvarium,
Oh.
yep,
You.
yeah, the one right on, Fourth
Like
Street,
Ziggy's.
Fifth Street, excuse me.
How do you spell that?
I think Harvey's Village has an HOA.
Quads,
Well, I know we have an HOA,
business.
pay them, but
yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of different HOAs that we should, I don't know if the HOAs are worth,
There's some list.
or how
yeah,
you.
they got.
Yeah,
percent
some are
for each
arranged by
case,
one person,
wasn't it?
huh?
I guess we could put.
Okay,
Yeah,
HOA,
I don't know.
just put that on there,
Yeah. Cause people love getting things from their HOAs.
It's gonna be, overall, it's gonna be hard to get.
I like the HOA. I
everybody
have
in
no
the
problem
room
with
to do
HOA.
Some sort of an engagement with the specific groups,
Beetlejuice
but
juice my
having those
neighborhood
target
and
cities,
people
reaching out and
down
seeing
there.
how we can engage with them.
Should we put them on the list for big business?
Probably.
So,
Lumberjay.
thank you.
Say again, how do you spell?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're right.
It's
It looks like Slumberger.
it's Schlumberger.
Oh,
SCHLUMBERGER.
Yep.
It's a mouthful.
is that?
Is that the hardware store?
What is
That's
previously
what Cameron used to be.
And under.
Oh,
big
okay.
business,
Oh, the one.
Yeah.
section where
Oh,
they have big business stakeholders. they should put
Gotcha.
that.
That's
Big
good
input.
one. Okay.
What about Discraft? They're a pretty big one, they're
Dis-
all.
Dismania.
NESR.
That dismaying.
Oh, yeah.
Doing the projects with them. All these
So it
things,
should
are
be
just like, that's why I need a group to think about.
No,
this.
just go.
That's why
Oh,
it's up
yeah.
there. Appreciate this.
are these people to reach out to and?
Yep.
Or this is, okay.
Yeah, this is kind of like our outreach engagement list.
Gotcha.
So I know that there are entities. I guess my question is, can we ask the chamber for a list of businesses? Because I feel like that would be a comprehensive
all
place to
listed?
start.
Yeah.
They
They
are,
have a list.
they
But they don't
are,
have
and I've
contact info.
attempted to export, and it is, the way the website is set up, it's like you have to go line by line, and there's like 200 and something listed.
And they
So-
include
We're
in-
members of the chamber. I'm
Oh.
happy to ask Carol for a spreadsheet if you would. like.
Yeah,
That would be fantastic.
that would be, and I think another way is just like working, the chamber is on the engagement list and
Yes.
working with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
It's the best way that they can promote through in and down, because there's no way we're gonna reach out to every business, but we do want to have it trickle through, so if we can work
Yeah.
with the chamber for the best way for that to go down. But yes, just add it and we'll figure out the best way for Barry Dunn to,
A monthly newsletter.
Okay.
It's very comprehensive and it'd be perfect.
yep. You know, we do stuff with, we put rec stuff in like Wellington Welcome Wagon, which we're gonna. That's just more of us just giving them the information and having anything like that. Great.
Pirate radio also. I don't know if that's something that you can do, but.
Yeah.
Added.
Added.
Duly noted.
Really noted. Well,
Pirate radio, like radio, like Christian Slater pirate radio, is that what kind of?
No, not
I don't
that.
think so.
I mean, it's cool, but like.
It's a Christian Slater.
Alright,
Gleaming in the queue.
July agenda. Yes,
So we need to move on to the bylaws. This is July.
You can just, yeah, you can copy paste, do what you do, Eric.
Do we have the,
July was empty.
oh, the there.
But then we had presentation.
Yeah, it's, how do we wanna say that? PROST master plan, PROST team.
Parks Master Plan presentation to Prost
Yeah,
or.
it's
Prost
it's less of
engagement
a,
in Parks?
yeah, I think it's an engagement or, I go back to, it's not even a stakeholder, it's, just put engagement.
I feel like 3 different times.
I love that, master plan presentation, that's fine, we know what it is, we
Yeah.
know what it is internal. Right? But just put Barry down,
I very.
yeah.
And we're gonna keep that agenda light, and we're
Just-
gonna do our.
I think we're
Those
gonna get
linear.
those two things,
Goals linear, yeah,
Mhm.
and then, goals linear and harvest.
site visit, yeah.
I love it.
As well.
What
And
do
then
you
do we wanna, oh, go ahead,
say for August?
that's always funny. Who lets you run this portion?
Where do you wanna go in August?
What about Viewpoint?
We do Viewpoint and Winnick.
Okay.
I think those are 2 hot spots.
Love it.
I guess the new playground at Viewpoint, did that happen? No?
So good reason for the visit.
Robert, the good thing
Just
about,
dumb stuff, but not it.
the good thing about doing,
Robert Sicky.
Winnick and Viewpoint is we can talk about the community garden areas too.
Yes.
Yeah, they're
Will you
not-
make a note about that?
Robert's like, where did the pool get it? Right. We got a rec center out there somewhere. Sorry, what was the note?
Just making note that we want to talk about the possible community garden while we're visiting Viewpoint and Winnick.
Cause those were the two identified sites.
Yeah.
And those files, just so everybody knows, Barry Dunn has like a backend share file site for them to give us information as a town to the process, and we uploaded like hundreds and hundreds of documents, like all of our past, whatever, but I definitely uploaded
Okay.
that. The feasibility study that was presented, so amazing.
Awesome.
Great, we love
Where do you wanna go in September?
Oh my god.
Well, wait,
I think we let's do it.
like, let's just get it out there and then we can just be done.
Mhm.
I mean, that, like,
Wellville.
East side, I think. you
east
just-
side needs all
three.
three, right? And then community park will need its own,
Mhm.
and probably Centennial. will
Where do you
need
think
its
we'll be
own.
with, the Veterans Garden in the September or October range?
That might be a nice time to go and actually visualize it
Yeah, it's kind
and
of
like see everything. Like, this is where we might put the rock. This is where this will be. This is what we're doing for this.
Well, I think either September or October would be good. If the grant comes through and if we
Mhm.
push through on
Mhm.
some of the funding opportunities, then we might have a good idea, grant or not, what we need to do to get there or what we're doing to roll this project, so.
Do we do October for Centennial / WCP and then we just see where the,
Real quick, is this Harvest Park or Harvest Trail? And we also haven't done walls or. Do we do no?
harvest, yeah, it was
I
harvest.
think just, you can just do harvest. We can talk about and trails, kind of go with that, we can breeze through that pretty quick, but.
So
Um,
east side, WCP and
Centennial.
Centennial.
Feel like
I feel like WCP kind of almost needs
it's,
this.
it needs its own night, and
Yeah.
Centennial needs its own night.
Well, but-
Well, Centennial might be able to be mixed with Library Park if we wanted to go
Oh,
anything
yeah,
about Library
yeah,
Park.
yeah.
So I think
I
what,
thought what I was saying is that once we know about the grant, we can decide whether it needs to be
Oh, you're
WCP or whether it should be Centennial Library Park.
Let's just put them on and we can change.
So we can change it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when we get, we'll have shoot a calendar down on all of our agendas anyway, so if we need to make adjustments. If something pops up in between at one of the parks we wanna go to, we can change.
Awesome.
okay, and then we can also, again, we can maybe do them. In between meeting if that ends up working out to knock it out a little faster. Knowing that if we're trying to. November, December, January, February, get a lot of the. Clerical admin, future planning. Down.
East side's pretty good though, right? We did a lot of updates over there this year. I mean,
We good to go over all the stuff that we've done.
a lot of stuff happened there this year.
Yes, it'd be nice to, get everybody into Park Meadows and really talk about and we can get Kevin to come over and, kind of talk about and see, firsthand the chips.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Mhm.
they stink.
Yeah.
And the importance of that, and then we continually hear how we do a shade structure and then they hear Park Meadows needs more shade. And we do another shade structure and they still are asking for some more shade. So I think it'd be really important to go over there and kind of make a future plan for what might be helpful in that.
Mhm. Yeah, so especially with the east side feeling so neglected so often.
I'm in for it, I'm in for it all.
Good.
Love it.
We move on,
Change.
announcements.
Back to you, Billy.
Rick's got
Park
this.
Meadows.
Well, Eric used to do the recreation stuff, that was just the park stuff. I'll do what I
Parks
do
and
and anything. Oh my gosh.
Grass is green.
Just so.
Oh, I digress, I was gonna say
How's
something.
the robot working? Still out there? Good. They
Yeah.
did like a update, or not an update. They replaced the motors and I think that their like new motors are meant for their new. Robot version, and so they don't work as well, but it still paints a straight line. So while it does it, it just does this.
It's got a wiggle butt.
Yeah.
The lines.
Literally the back end just goes. As
like
it's-
corgi.
Yeah.
Yes. That thing-
It's
that thing
exactly
is-
like the corgi. Yeah.
Absolutely, been worth its weight in gold for what we can do with it.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
Like going out on days that we paint sports fields, being able to just paint the outfield lines, but then paint the infield of a baseball field too, so that you don't have to chalk, but it's there and it's already doing its work. It's just like, keep going.
It's cool. And shout out to our staff. I have seen a lot of other people with those robots and they look awful. Most of them are painted completely white. You can't even tell what the brand is, and ours looks like it's been like demoed twice.
better stay that
compared to
way.
other ones. Oh, so nice and clean and looking good.
Yes.
That's.
Okay, so parks, we've got dock opening, today, in coordination, they did the work, but we've been talking a lot about it. Public Works painted a stripe from the top of either side of the tunnel down the middle for bike lanes, and they put arrows in and did a top finish so that they're not slick, so that we have actual bike lanes going through there.
They look really good.
Good, yeah, that just got done today, and then, we had a quick site meeting while they were scouting that, while I was out there with them, we now have what we need, and we're gonna purchase the fisheye mirrors that are needed to give vision for the public to see coming down and through the tunnel. I'm at Wellville, so I'm just trying to think of what's going on there.
There's, which will come up again, but in July, there's a volunteer group coming to put a path in from the sidewalk to the new dog park. And then also like start refinishing our pressure pipe paths around the ponds.
Who are those people?
It's Mill City Church. They come every year and they do something cool.
Who is it?
Mill City.
The analyst, you saying?
Stakeholders.
Bummer, this is why you need to be here.
That is City.
That was good.
I'm trying to think, Eric's honest, it is very much the Parks be parking time, the
Yeah.
crews are out just getting everything ready. Insane amount of baseball games, soccer games, every night of the week we have rec staff that are out working on the fields that the park staff has prepared and got ready for sports. Parks look really good. We've had our minor issues here and there and small projects internally that we're trying to get going on. Park maps. Park maps. Next Monday, Jerry will be with the photographer that is taking the pictures. Everything should be to the designer. For printing, hopefully very, very soon after that, but the design is out there, the map is out there, we've got all of the different panels for marketing / engagement / lists. I'm hoping, maybe I'm putting pressure on anybody watching that's working on it. In the next few weeks, they should be printed and out.
So exciting.
End of the month, I'm hoping at the latest, but they should be out and ready to go, and they're gonna be like, they're gonna be very usable, as well as, promote the right things on each one of the pages for what we're doing. Marketing in Kelly and myself and Erica put some time into this, so it's been kind of smushed down in and like, hey, what's the update with Jerry's? We are taking pictures next Monday,
That's exciting.
and hopefully they'll be out sooner rather than later.
And never again will anybody say, I didn't know you guys had 9 parks. This is awesome. It's so cool.
Yes. Trying to think of anything else like parks related that we need to update outside of what is on the agenda. Recreation wise, go ahead.
Just
I was gonna say we can like just kind of maybe go through. I mean, just gonna say. Oh, hoping to move, the grass is growing thankfully very well, water. Hoping to move soccer games to Harvest Park in fall.
Oh, nice.
So.
It
that
does look really
was-
nice over there, actually.
Yeah.
Cal plays baseball and hangs out there. I was actually, I was.
Yeah.
Pretty darn
so
good over
the
there.
Parks team did a lot of like work through the winter. And like into this spring to get that sprouting. So it's growing lush and thick
yeah.
right now, which is great, and a good sign for some fun fall activities out there, but it'll also be very nice to have
diamond fields and soccer fields separated a little bit. So progress.
Great.
Yes, if anyone's been to Winnick Park, repairs happening there. We've got, the part just came in today, so that's,
Sweet.
it's in process.
They just park.
Do we have any update when we might see a design or?
I'll be honest, I haven't had a ton of communication very recently with them. They're still on the radar for the late fall or late summer, fall, early fall, so.
But Budweiser's baskets have come out, so we would be really good if we had ours up and going.
They took them out.
Yeah, they're gone.
They quit it?
So dumb.
There was an issue with the security guard and some disc golfers. It wasn't supposed to be open yet. They had left the gate down. Some people were playing and asked to leave, and there was an issue and they removed all the baskets.
Wow.
For good,
It says indefinitely.
indefinitely,
For now, yeah.
until the tournament, you know,
The signs are still there,
yeah,
so it's probably gonna end up something like that.
yeah, just tournament, so you have to pay to play.
Wow.
Hmm.
Okay,
Dang.
let's see if we can. As far as workload goes and us doing it, moving it into anytime we're in the deep growing season is gonna be tough, and for them and their schedule, that was good, but I hear that and we'll see if we can get it sooner rather than rushed off into the, late October timeframe.
One more giant win. I think this is the first time both Parkside and Rec side where we've been fully staffed in seasonals. Like we've got Parks seasonals, the last one starts tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Especially good because we've had some turnover, specifically more on the recreation side, but also, yeah. We had our first movie in the park.
Oh, yeah, how's the screen?
It was awesome.
Looked
What'd you guys watch?
It was so cool. Kung Fu Panda.
Perfect.
And we do have the agreement to watch certain Universal movies with Comcast, so they're main sponsor for that, which is amazing.
Nice.
Um,
How about
They're on
Shrek
the list.
next?
that one is Kicking and Screaming.
Oh, that,
Such a good movie.
that
With
is
Will Ferrell.
the best
Such
movie
a good
ever.
movie.
Yes.
You never seen it?
No.
Oh,
Oh,
So it had their Main Street Market.
got my dick in it.
So
Yeah.
either July.
it's gonna be
I won't
awesome.
be, sorry.
Centennial Park. We're
It's
gonna,
Mingle-
we're gonna use Centennial Park as an actual cool venue, not just like it's great for markets and everything, but like. Be a test for like if we could ever do concerts there in the
Yes.
planned out future.
That's cool.
So, that'll be the next one there. Rec staff did a phenomenal job getting that ready.
When's the next one? What's the date? Is there
We
a
talked
date?
about today, the date is
July 18th.
18th, yep. In coordination with market, be fun.
Oh, okay, cool.
We're always working on more programming. There's a potential. We're trying to work with a rock climbing gym in Fort Collins to offer programming for, they only have like a few slots, but we're kind of as a contractor, and sign people up with our through our recreation program, and then they would then have access to that or sign up for that programming, but it would come in-house through us, but they wanted to kind of look into the Wellington market, and we're like, okay,
Which
we'll
one?
see what we can work for you.
Which one?
Whetstone.
Whetstone.
Very nice. That's a great job.
So. Yeah, we're kind of working through the details of what that looks like right now, but. Something else, and we've been in communication with a couple people about what are their options for. Adaptive programming and how we can help out there, and we do have that. Work through with Fort Collins for certain programming, so we can help subsidize some of the funding if the program fits for what the budget is, and. I know nobody's watching, but for everybody here, there is, we set up a budget line for like, quality of life and life-saving programming, that we can help subsidize funding because we don't offer those things as amenities here. So one, we don't have we don't have a community pool up here, and that's a life-saving thing, but we also don't have like a robust, adaptive program. We've tried to do our best and try to make our programs inclusive as well as add on to all of our events are more inclusive, but we just, obviously, we don't have the space to yet. And a lot of the people that work through that programming have their own community within the programming that they run for columns. So we want to make sure that some of the programs that they offer that we have, can't touch up here, we have no options for our quality of life giving, so we can help subsidize those as well.
So like CPR classes and stuff?
No, it's more like, they run adaptive physical therapy and swimming, and we've talked about just different programs. If they wanna, we don't offer specific Special Olympics programs, so if there's that where that's part of their community and they can get there, something to talk about,
That would be sweet.
very much things that, it's open, it's available, so, and it's presented in the budget, and we've put the information out there, just like everything in this community, people don't even know we have a recreation program, let alone that we have that subsidized funding for the first time ever. So getting it out there and continuing to build is very important, but every one person that comes in is part of that community, so hopefully they get it out to them, and that it is, it's not the largest bucket of money, but that's something that when I presented to the budget last year to the board, that they were very on board with or in line with. So if the funding needs to increase, that's something where I definitely strongly advise that we, or if there are cuts, so whatever we have to go through, that's, we need it, let's increase that because it's something that's necessary, so. Open spaces, we started integrating some of new turf last week to some open space areas that were in need. We're really hoping that it takes off. It's the same stuff that we put outside of our building in that beautiful little turf area. So it takes a little while, but it is aggressive. So we're really trying to just rehab it and get it ready for the disc golf course. It's really tough because there's no irrigation in some of those areas. So getting it not to be weeds is tough, but it takes a couple years, and we've really been working hard to do that. So hopefully the fruits come out in the next little bit here. Yeah, I don't have any specific exact trail updates right now, other than the fact that we will be working on some of the soft trails to at least enhance them before we continue on the transfer of soft trail with the side of soft trail to concrete. So we at least will keep the soft trails into certain areas, and working on getting them in better shape.
Since the last, it's been a while since like we all kind of talked about this one, since the last trail summit that y'all went to, have you had any further communications with like Fort Collins or the county or anything like that? Or
not anything like specific as far as like this is happening so and so, but there's always just that when it gets to their board for approval, I will let you guys know.
okay, they might even be a good help, at least to help find those bike clubs or stakeholders like that. If we just gave them a shout, they might
Yeah.
have like contacts down in Boulder for like the Ironman races and stuff like that, where people come up here all the time.
Yeah, and NOCO Bike Ped, I don't think I had them on there, but talking through this, that's like, they're a huge one.
We added it, we talked
written
about
down,
it.
yeah. And I'm still looking at their agendas, and if it's something that we need to go to, either Cody or I are trying to get to as many of their meetings. They do a good job of doing them virtually, so we're working on.
I was at a meeting recently with John Cafalis, and there was a lot of people questioning where are we at with trails? How can we get people up here? I don't know what that looks like for community outreach, but everybody wants to know, and there's lots of questions, and all I could say was they're working on it. We're really excited, but there's no details, right? So I think as soon as we could do something would be really cool to get it out to the community, maybe come talk at one of the meetings.
That would be fantastic, and that is gonna be trail specifically, because it's like, this starts here and stops here.
Right.
And there's a gap to here, like that's gonna be huge for us to start the drop a
Pins,
pin,
yeah.
drop a pin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we get to these groups, that's where they're gonna be huge, maybe not bringing them in for like a sit-down meeting, but saying, please go on here.
Mhm.
And as you travel through town, or if you've ever traveled through town,
Mhm.
drop the
Exactly.
pins where you know this could go,
Mhm.
right?
Awesome.
Good. Anything else y'all wanna know about? Great.
Great.
Good. We have no trustee liaison update. Does anybody have any updates on their parks?
There's a lot of people using the splash pads,
Yeah. Seeing a lot of people out, that's for sure.
a lot of people out.
Yeah. As soon as that weather turned nice, everybody ran to the parks. It was really good to see.
The rain. Oh, nice.
I saw kids out at Winnick when it was raining, so that
They
didn't
don't
stop
care.
at all. They were having a blast.
That's cool.
We had over the weekend, they just blew through chemicals and we had to replace the CO2 tanks. So Eric and I got there like in the morning, took the tanks down, got back, and by the time we got back, I don't know, there were at least 50 kids just like
It's like nine.
it's like
Flash
9:15 in the
Watching you
morning.
guys.
Oh, like I'm surprised they didn't give us like the tunnel at the end of the soccer game. You know, this thing.
It's awesome.
You know, we have to balance the chemicals real quick. Luckily, that new system is just like boom, right on it. But you have to start it and make sure it's running for a few. The kids are like, so one of us is out there like, hold on, and the parents are like holding them back, like cattle roping them, you know, and then it's just like, okay, you barely get the word out. And it's like, how are there 25 of you in there already?
Yeah.
But they love it. We get a lot of like thank yous and like we love the splash pad and then
It's
the
a big deal.
arbitrary, we're not
Yeah.
getting
It's a big
fooled.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it's a good note. And you know, at the movie, we had like kids at the splash pad running down the hill waiting for the movie and like checking the screen. It was really cool.
Oh, so
I think
cool.
we had like 150 to 175 people at the
That's
movie.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hard to tell. Kids everywhere, but sorry.
Well, if we don't have any other updates on parks, adjourn the meeting. So we are adjourned as of 8:03.